former Boston Celtic great and current Boston Celtic broadcaster, Tommy Heinsohn. How you doing, Tommy?
How you doing?
Great. I have your picture back from the mid-'80s. I used to send autograph requests out, and I was so excited to get your picture. I opened the envelope and ripped the side of the picture.
Oh, so I got ripped in half today?
Nah. Just a little corner got ripped off.
Ripped off. Holy mackerel.
Not the first time.
What's up?
Nothing. Just waiting for the regular season to end in the NBA so we can get the real season started.
The playoffs.
You got it.
You guys are getting hot at the right time.
Yeah. The beginning of the season, everybody was faced with the same problem, starting with relatively short training camp. And I think the Celtics probably were hit more harshly than anybody else because they had 7 new players. And they had to blend them in with the existing nucleus. And Paul Pierce, one of the nucleus players, was hurt. So, and then players started going down as they developed the chemistry. That guy had leave. And right now they're down to really an 8-man team playing on a regular basis. And the chemistry that they've developed is, and the enthusiasm to do well in the playoffs has really propelled them.
As long as you have Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, you have a shot, right?
And Rondo.
Rondo. Far be it from me to, yeah. No, he's pretty good, too.
I want to tell you, he makes everything happen, Rondo. People just can't seem to equate him as a great point guard and list him with what they consider to be better point guards like Paul and Williams. This guy, he came up with another triple-double last night, and he continues to do that. He's an amazing basketball player. And he doesn't have to score a point, and he still is a tremendous player and help for the team because he makes everybody else better.
Kind of like Bob Cousy back in the day.
Yeah, Cousy was a better scorer, but this kid was has been a better defender, and he's a fabulous athlete.
Now the players this season are getting a taste of what the NBA used to be like when you had back-to-back games and a lot of travel, a compressed schedule. You have any empathy for them?
Well, they're getting the big money, and they're going. They're not having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to catch the first plane out. You know, they're leaving after games to get to the next place on a chartered plane. So it's not quite like it was.
Jerry West said he played 4 games of 4 nights again with no first-class airfare.
I want to tell you, I can remember so many of these games. What my pet story is we played in Philadelphia, and we were supposed to play the next night at the Boston Garden against Syracuse. And Syracuse had the night off, and they were in Boston a day before the game, and it started to snow in Philadelphia and turned into a blizzard. And there was no way that planes were flying. There was no way that trains were even going. So we got a bus, and we went all the way from Philadelphia up to Boston to play Syracuse, who was sitting there waiting for us. And it took till 3 o'clock in the afternoon when we finally showed up in Boston after going off the road a couple of times, and walked into the building, and they canceled the game. And why did they cancel the game? There's the 2 teams ready to play, but the Bull gang, who laid the floor down, couldn't get in from Chelsea.
How many cigars did Red smoke during that bus ride?
Oh, boy. I mean, it was brutal. And the heater went out and everything else. Unbelievable trip.
Now, could Red have taken Will Chamberlain and turned him into a bigger, better Bill Russell?
Well, Sharman did it. You know, I think the most successful career that Wilt had during his career was when Bill Sharman coached him, and he was the anchor of that Laker team with Jerry West and Gail Goodrich and I forget all the other players, but they used an up-tempo style, and to turn Wilt from the league's leading scorer at one point averaging 50 points a game to where he led the league in assists was quite a feat. So, Wilt listened. Wilt liked to learn, but a lot of people wanted him to score because he was an attraction when he scored.
What do you think of the Bulls' Derrick Rose? Do you think that Rondo could stop him?
Do I what?
Do you think Rondo could stop Derrick Rose if they meet in the playoffs?
Well, Rose is a great player. I mean, he's a fabulous athlete, too, and he's got certain attributes that you can't deny. He's a terrific offensive player and a scorer himself, but I don't think he gets the other people involved like Rondo does. So it's a battle of two different styles. And Rondo has played well against them, and Rose has played well against Rondo.
Does anybody stop the Miami Heat other than the Miami Heat?
That's a strange team. They really suffer because they don't have a distributor of the ball other than LeBron. And they go off one-on-one. And if they're not prepared to make those shots at the end of the game, either one, Wade or LeBron, they got problems because Chris Bosh, I think the two Celtic wins against them, he evaporated into the atmosphere. And, it wasn't really a factor at all. So those two guys are great, and Bosh is good, but they don't have a point guard to really drive what they're trying to do.
You coached for around 10 years in the NBA. And you coached stars like Dave Collins. You had John Havlicek, a bunch of star players. I think the problem with Miami is they have a coach that they don't respect. I think you need someone who's tough on him, someone like a Pat Riley, to get the most out of him. Well,
this is a different era. And the era that I played and I coached was, of course, completely different. But and it was even different when I coached from when I played because you started to get into expansion a little bit, and free agency came into existence, and so the relationships changed from where you could be a Prussian general to where you had to be a psychiatrist, and dealing with some of these guys. And I found out, Cousy and I, and he was coaching at the time, we were talking about bringing athletes along and players along, and he was a strong disciplinarian and a perfectionist, and he was upset with one of his players, and we started talking about it, and I said, well, Coos, he's only going to listen to you, the great Bob Cousy, for 3 months. And then his mother, his father, his girlfriend, his wife, whoever it is, his agent are going to start saying, son, it's not you, it's Bob Cousy that's holding you back. And so you can't be the enemy. You got to be an ally. And so you got to walk and you got to be on their team, and they have to be on your team. And you got to almost let them come up with some of their ideas. And when you got a guy like LeBron who owned the state of Ohio there when he was in high school, he thinks he owns the United States as he's going to Florida. Who deals with him?
He's kind of like Ozzie Guillen.
Right, yeah. Fidel Castro. Let's go.
Now, there's rumors out there that this may be it for Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett. This with the Celtics, this could be the end of that
I have no idea what their plans are. Right now, they're mired in the present, and what they're trying to do is win another title. I really totally appreciate the current Celtic team, the drive that they have, the competitiveness they have. They remind me of the teams I played on. They just, last night's win, they played 3 back-to-backs with a day off in between, and they just responded so well. And 2 games that they lost in that period, they could have won. And right now they're heading out for a 4-game road trip, 3 games in a row, a back-to-back-to-back. So they're playing 4 games in 5 days. It's really, I can't believe it. And they're entering into it like, we got to do this. And, you end up with a kid like Petrus, who's a genuine, ferocious competitor. And he came back from a concussion last night and really played a significant part in helping them win. And he was only expected to play like 9-10 minutes. He played almost 30. But that's the type of thing that I admire about this current team. And in some of the other teams, you don't see it. What I see is like New York trying to do that. The Bulls have rallied around their group when Rose has gone down. They've done a nice job. But other teams really have fallen by the wayside.
I heard somewhere that the Celtics got off to a slow start because some of the players came into camp out of shape because they didn't think there was going to be a season.
I don't think they were out of shape. I think, Paul Pierce was hurt. He had a foot injury, so he wasn't running around, getting in shape. He was probably the guy that was least conditioned, and it was because of an injury. So I just think that we had 7 guys, brand new players, with 2 days of training camp. Pretty tough to put together a team that has great chemistry. I mean, that's where Philadelphia got off their great start. They didn't really add anybody to that ball club. And now they're paying the price as the other teams, find their niche.
Yeah. One quick question. Bill Russell, other than talent, his basketball playing ability, what was it that made him so great?
Bill Russell was there were 2 great competitors that I've seen several others, but those were the first 2 great competitors that I ever really recognized. They could have been president of General Motors, either Cousy or Russell, because of the drive they had to win. It was psychologically necessary for both of them to win. They wouldn't have good mental health unless they won. So they went. They just played at such a high intensity level when they played. They each approached it a little bit differently, but Russell was a dominating figure, and people just, he hardly gets mentioned as the greatest player, and yes, this guy won 2 NCAA championships, a gold medal, and 11 championships in 13 years. And one of those championships, he was out of the finals for 4 games. So you have to look at it and say, and you could take it from the players that played with him and the players that played against him who say he was the greatest. And he was just an unbelievable competitor, and Cousy was the same way. Cousy would lock himself in rooms during the playoffs and never come out and have room service delivered. And that's how intense he was. I was going out to have lunch with people. He was unbelievable.
He's a great guy. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, asked him for an interview. He says, I don't do them anymore. I'm tired of talking. But if you tell him,
Who's this?
Bob Cousy. I said, Bob,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you. We've interviewed about 50 basketball Hall of Famers. You're one of the last ones left. We'd love to hear your story, but again, he's kind of like a recluse now, he said. Like Howard Hughes, he said.
Yeah, well, his wife has been ill, and he's always been a guy that kind of has a private, part of his life that he's reached that point now, and he's taking care of his wife. So
he's earned it.
Yeah,
he's
got a reason.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, guys. Good luck.
Good luck in the playoffs.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was Basketball Hall of Famer Tommy Heinz.